Hello, this is Cinderella Math. Today I'll be going over some exponent rules that you're probably going to learn in Algebra 1. It is possible that you see these in a pre-algebra, especially if you're like a pre-algebra advanced situation, and you certainly need them again for Algebra 2. So if you're in Algebra 2 and you're using this to review, that's great. But your examples in Algebra 2 are going to be harder than what I'm going to do today. So I'm gearing this toward Algebra 1 level, but again, you could be a little um, younger or older than that, but that's what I'm going to gear this to. Alrighty, let's get started. So we have many exponent rules. You're gonna need them all through high school math. If you take any college level calculus and stuff like that, you need to know your exponents. They're pretty much everywhere in our upper level math. So exponent rules. Let's start with something called the product rule. And I know you know what the word product means. It's the answer to a multiplication. So we're going to multiply. So the rule is when we have something like a to the m times a to the n. So you'll notice how these are the same. That's called the base. They need to be the same for this to work. So if they're different, you can't do it. But these are the same. You're going to keep the base, and the rule is you add the exponents. So you would do this plus this. That is the rule. I know that made no sense because there's no numbers. Let's do some with numbers. I'll do a few examples of this rule. Anytime you need a calculator is fine with me, unless your teacher or your parent or whatever says no. All right, so let me do x to the 7th times x10. You keep that base x and you do 7 plus 10. That is 17. And that's it. All right, let's do 2 to the 4th times 2. That is 2 to the 5th. There's an invisible 1. And let's do 4m squared times negative m8. Now that's an invisible negative 1. Do 4 times negative 1. So that's negative 4. Keep the m and you add the exponents. 2 plus 8 is 10. Okay, I'll do some more of these in a second when I mix them all together. But for now, those are kind of my basic examples for product rule. Of course, it gets worse. Everything gets worse, right? But that's fine. That's good for now. All right, let's talk quotient rule. So again, I know you know what the word quotient means. It's the answer to a division problem. So we'll be dividing. So if it's a to the m divide a to the n, we really subtract. So we're going to keep that base a and you're going to subtract the exponents. Okay, I'll do a few examples of these. And again, I'll mix it together by the end of the video, but these are going to be just basic examples. Let's do x to the 10 over x4. Keep the x and subtract. 10 minus 4 is 6. All right, let's do 20 c7 over 2c squared. Go ahead and divide the numbers. So 20 divide 2, that's 10. And subtract the exponents. 7 minus 2, that would be 5. All right, let's do negative 4 m12 over 8m. That's got a 1. Divide these numbers, but when you do negative 4 divide 8, especially if you're using a calculator, that's going to give you a decimal. We don't want decimals typically. We're going to keep it fraction. So negative 4/8, if you divide by 4 to reduce or simplify, would be negative half. And now subtract the exponents, that would be m11. Answer, or you can write it like this, negative m11 over 2. We can let that negative 1 be invisible. Either way is correct. It doesn't really matter. Those are the same. Okay? However you prefer. That is the quotient rule. Again, I'll mix that in a second, but those are some basic examples of quotient rule. Let's do power rule. So this is when we have an exponent raised to an exponent, like this. A to the m to the n. You're going to multiply. So this will be a to the m times n, like this. So if we have x cubed to the fourth, keep the x and you multiply 3 times 4, and that's 12. What if there's a number in there? What if it's 3 apple 4 squared? Sometimes I say apple for a's. I say food for a lot of them, so sorry. 3a to the fourth squared. You still square this 3. 3 squared is 9. And now multiply 4 times 2, so that would be a8 to the eighth. All right, example 3. How about negative d to the fourth to the fourth? There's a 1 there, so you're going to do negative 1 to the fourth. Feel free to use a calculator if you need to, or that's just negative 1 4 times. That would be positive 1, and then you do 4 times 4, which is d to the 16th. Answer, or you can ghost the 1, because 1s can be invisible, and just d to the 16th. Okay, there's some basic examples of power rule. Next one I would like to talk to you about is zero power. I should have done this with quotient rule, but it's okay. So this is called the zero power rule. Alrighty. So anything to the 0 is 1. You would think it would be 0. It would make good sense to be 0, but it's 1. And here's why. If I have x4 over x4, so you would do quotient rule, right? That's a division. So you would subtract. So you would keep the x and you'd have 0, because 4 minus 4 is 0. But think back to elementary school for a second, when you were first learning fractions. If you just had like 5 over 5, that's a whole. If you have 9 over 9, that's a whole. So this number right here, x to the fourth over x to the fourth, that is a number over itself. That is a whole. So therefore, it's also x0, x to the 0, so that is 1. So anything in the whole world to the 0 power is 1, not 0. You want to memorize this one. You really want to memorize them all, but definitely have this one in your mind here. So even if it's like 1007 B10 A47 to the 0, all of that is 1 because it's all being raised to the 0. Anything to the 0 is 1. Okay? If you just memorize that, your life will be better for it. All right, and then I've got one more to tell you about, and it's probably the hardest. It's the, well, yeah, it probably is. It's the negative exponent rule. And all the other rules can work with negatives. All right, negative exponents, for some reason, and I don't truly even know the reason fully, are just not allowed. So what we do is we send them to the bottom. So if you have a to the negative m, what you're going to do is make a fraction, and that's going to come to the bottom. And you put a 1 on top, just so that you have something there, right? Ones can be invisible. We're going to put it. Right? This one's the hardest, I know. So example, if it's x to the negative 3, you're going to make a fraction, put it to the bottom where it's going to come positive, and put a 1. Okay, that's example 1. Let's do another one. Example 2. What if it's 2 to the negative 3? Build a fraction, send it down, put a 1. And now we can actually do 2 to the third, either in your head or calculator. That's 2 times 2 times 2. That's 8. So So this will be 1/8. And one more here. Let me do two letters. Let me say A5, B -4. Build a fraction, but you only send the negative down. So the B4 is down, and once it comes down, it's positive. A5 answer. So my joke is that the negative exponent is grumpy, and you're going to send it downstairs to go play a game or get a snack or something. You're going to go send it downstairs, maybe timeout, to be happier. Okay? Those are what you need to know. Now, here's the hard part when they get mixed together. All right. So let me find some good examples here. Trying to find some tricky ones. Okay. So mixed practice. This does take a lot of practice, by the way. It's hard to pick up quickly. If you can, amazing. But if you're like, this is hard, it will come with practice. It's not, for me, it's not something that came super fast. I had to practice it a lot. I'm going to do x4 times x7. I'm going to write a bunch up here. And I'll do another round after this. Okay, that'll get us started. Come over to number 1. We're multiplying. So that's product rule. Keep the x and add the exponents. 4 plus 7 is 11. Number 2, this will be power rule. So see that 3? You're going to square it. 3 squared is 9, and then the exponents you multiply. 9 times 2 will be x to the 18th. 3 times 2 will be y to the 6th. Over to 3, we're multiplying, so keep that a and add the exponents. -5 plus -11, so I pretend it's money. You owe me 5 plus you owe me 11. You would owe me 16, but oh no, that's a negative. So you're going to send it to the bottom. Make a fraction. That'll be A16 on the denominator and put a 1. Right. Always do, so see how these were negative? We could have sent them to the bottom first. It's easier if you just wait for the end. Okay. And number 4, that'll be quotient rule. Your constants divide. What is 25 divide 5? Well, that's 5. And then quotient rule said to subtract the exponents. So do 9 minus 12. So that would be x to the -3. But uh-oh, he's negative. So we need to fix it. Make your fraction x to the +3 on the bottom, and the 5 is fine. He stays on top. It's only negative exponents that come down. Okay, I'll do 1 or 2 more rounds of the mixed practice, and then I'm going to be done. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. This is example 5. Six. Coming up to 5, we have 2 rules. How do you know what to do first? So just like the order of operations, PEMDAS, exponent. So this one is being raised to an exponent, and then we'll multiply. So we're going to do that one in the green box first. Technically, there's a multiply right here. We just sometimes don't write it. You know, if we run stuff together, that means multiply. So 8 squared is 64, and then do 2 times 2. So that would be k to the fourth. 12 times 2 would be j to the 24th. And then we'll just drop the rest, and now we're multiplying. Do 64 times 4, so that's what, 256? Let me check that. Yep. And now multiply, the rule was you add the exponents. So k4, k negative 4. So 4 plus negative 4 is 0. And now j24 plus j to the third would be j27. And the 0, 1 is really 1. So take that out. Oops, sorry, my pen just went nuts. Bye-bye. Technically, it's times 1, but 256 times 1 is 256. So final answer, 256, j to the 27th. The k canceled itself out, basically. Okay. And number 6, 2 squared is 4, and then we multiply to get m to the negative 8, but uh-oh, he's negative. Make a fraction, send him downstairs, he's positive, and the 4 is fine. Leave it on top. Number 7, trick question, anything to the 0. That whole shebang is being raised to the 0, 1. All right, certainly they get more complicated, especially if you're in Algebra 2, but hopefully this was a good introduction to exponent rules. If you need the more complicated ones, let me know and I can make a separate video, but hopefully that'll get you started. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye-bye.